Welcome back, Scoundrels, to the Scoundrels Den. It's a quick video today. We are going to be talking about the GILA, but I'm actually going to be talking about some of the problems with the ship. Because I think it's important to give two sides of the story when it comes to faction ships, especially. Like, I don't think the Phantasm has too many downsides unless you're going up against armor tanks, but the GILA actually has some significant downsides. And I would say it's actually one of the weaker faction cruisers available. I'm obviously a fanatic about it because I just love the playstyle. But I'm going to talk a little bit about it and some of the downsides of this ship in this video. So if you want to join the Scoundrels Den, there's a subscription button down below. Also, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There's a reference link in the description below too. I will see you in a minute. So why am I going to talk about the negative points of the GILA? Well, actually, what I'm going to talk about is kind of how you can go about assessing ships in general. One of the major things that makes the GILA attractive to me is the fact that it is a multi-weapon ship. I love the fact that you are using both drones and missiles. You have two forms of attack, and it's just a cool playstyle. But the problem is that those playstyles, with the current set of weapons in the game, don't mesh together very well. Mainly because the strong missile right now is medium rapids. Now, I know when regular mediums come out, that will change and you know the range will be increased, but right now if you're using medium rapids, their range is about 22 kilometers in the GILA. It could be a little bit higher depending on your skills, but I have got good missile skills and it's 22 kilometers. With very poor like basic drone skills, I'm up at 44 kilometers for my drones, so there's a big range discrepancy. You can't utilize the range that you would be able to in a prophecy, for instance. I had a really good comment on YouTube on my GILA video saying, you know, I love the GILA, I get that it's tanky, I get that it's a little bit quicker than a prophecy, but why would I go for 600 and something DPS with mixed damage, where I'm going, you know, with mixed damage types where I'm going to take more damage overall, when I could just literally sit at 65 kilometers, deal 500 DPS with my drones, and not take any damage anyway. And I actually fully get where this comment was coming from, because realistically, I put it in my top PvE ships. I think the prophecy is better than the GILA. I put the GILA at number 4. I put the prophecy at number 2. I think the prophecy is better than the GILA for pure PvE because the GILA has some major drawbacks. Being the fact that you can't utilize both forms of your damage without really nullifying some of the advantages of drones, which is that drone control range. Like, that drone control range is supposed to be a positive factor for drone boats. Your ability to go out towards 40 or 50k and utilize that as your main form of defense, being the ability to have excessive range over your opponents. And that's one of the major forms of drones. With the fact that you can't actually achieve that kind of range in missiles, even if I was using like regular medium missiles, I would probably only be hitting around 35 kilometers, right? So I'm not exactly going to be going out to the wild depths of 50k that you can get very easily with drone skills. And that's one of the things that makes the GILA a little bit awkward, in the sense that I'm not really using this major bonus, which is the drone control range. I'm not using that at all in the GILA. I'm actually at 22 kilometers at all times. Now, clearly, you know, it's a cruiser, so it's going to go a little bit quicker than you can put an afterburner on it. It's going to go a little bit quicker than a battle cruiser. You can speed tank quite a lot of stuff. It's got a decent defense, not as much as a battle cruiser, but it has got a decent defense, and obviously with a good cap recharge as well. But the problem is that its defense is purely outclassed by something like the Phantasm, and the Phantasm doesn't need to invest in multiple different skills to hit the DPS ceilings that the GILA can. The Phantasm just literally needs to have laser skills, and that then draws me on to one of the other issues with the GILA, which is the skills, and notably the weapon skills. One of the problems that the GILA has is to really feel like you're doing it justice, you need to have medium missile skills, and you need to invest in them pretty heavily. Medium missile torpedo operation, medium missile torpedo upgrade, and you know, those are skill points that I could have either just put purely in drones if I was running the prophecy, I could put purely in lasers if I was using the Phantasm, or I could put purely in, you know, cannons if I was running in purely in cannons if I was running the Cinnaball. But I have to put loads of skill points, like I'm talking millions of skill points into missiles, and then millions of skill points into drones, in order to really take advantage of the DPS output that the GILA can have. Now, what I would say is, medium missiles, the missile torpedo operation, that may not be that important, just given that most of the damage bonus comes from your drones, but you do get bonuses to your missile damage from the GILA. And that's the problem. When a ship really demands, so when a ship demands multiple weapon investments, so when a ship like the GILA, it demands an investment in missiles, and it demands an investment in drones, I feel like there should be some kind of payoff for investing those skills. But to be honest with you, the payoff on the GILA is not good enough, in my opinion. Like, there needs to be either more damage output, or it needs to be tankier, or a little bit quicker, or something, because it doesn't feel like there is much of a payoff for investing my skills across both missiles and drones. Whereas I could just go into the Phantasm, spend 2 or 3 million less skill points, have much higher effective HP, and be matching DPS with just investing in lasers and cruiser skills and shield skills. You know, and I have to invest in cruiser and shield skills in the GILA anyway. I just have to spend a load more points on missiles and drones to achieve the same kind of DPS output and the same kind of or even not even as good PvE potential. Now, admittedly, I would say that the GILA is adaptable. It's supposed to be a jack of all trades. I think, you know, you can play it pretty effectively in both PvE and PvP, whereas I think the Phantasm, although it's tanky, can struggle in PvP scenarios. But, you know, I think overall, I don't feel like there's enough of a payoff for the GILA to really make it worth it to like invest all of my skills in missiles and drones. Now, I'm not going to change my skill setup, because I still want to play stealth bombers, which require medium missiles. You know, I want to play the Hound and stuff like that. And I'm also looking forward to something like the Orthus. I'm looking forward to Mordu Legion ships, so I'm very much wanting to keep a lot of my skills in missiles, because Mordu Legion ships are very, very strong, and so I'm pretty keen to wait around until they get released. So I'm happy to, you know, play the GILA. The GILA is not a weak ship, it is a strong ship, but it's just not as strong as some of its other faction cruiser counterparts, because of the fact that it requires you to have a whole other boatload of skill investment to really hit the heights of something like the Phantasm, or even the Cinnabal, which is still an incredibly good ship. Something I missed off my PvE list is the Cinnabal, which is a great ship, and you know, I do genuinely think that that those two ships particularly outclass the GILA, but then it's probably outclassed by the Ashimu as well. So, you know, I think the GILA is just not a strong cruiser. You just really have to want to love the playstyle of the GILA to really take advantage of it. Plus the fact it does have base shield resistances does make it a little bit tanky. You know, you get 20% base shield resistances, which something like the Phantasm, etc. doesn't get. But that probably isn't enough to say, wow, this ship is absolutely amazing. Like, it's probably not enough to make that the case. Now, that's why I just wanted to sort of talk to you about today. Just the fact that, honestly, whilst this ship is super cool, and I absolutely love the fact that I'm split between drones and missiles, I don't think the bonuses that you get from the ship warrant the skill investment needed to really pilot this ship to its full potential. And I think a lot of people will probably agree with me that, you know, the GILA is a little bit underpowered. In fact, both the Worm and the Rattlesnake are getting bonus drone damage in the upcoming buff. Both the Worm and the Rattlesnake, and the Rattlesnake hasn't even been played on live server yet. But the GILA's not getting touched, and I hope they do. At least maybe just a little bit extra drone damage, that might help it out. That, you know, maybe play towards its strengths. And if medium missiles end up getting a bit of a range buff, then maybe you can marry those two together a bit more easily. But right now, it's a little difficult to take use of the fact that you have 4 high slots. You know, that are supposed to be dedicated to missiles, and utilize the fact that you're going to have that range that the drones provide you. That's just one of the problems that I think you're going to face if you're in the GILA. But yeah, hopefully this has helped you, like, especially when you come to assessing your own faction ship choices as well. Don't get me wrong. If you've invested in a GILA and you've bought it, it's still a great ship, and I love the playstyle of the ship, and I'm not going to be changing out of it, even though it is arguably, not even arguably, it is just weaker than something like the Cinnabal and something like the Phantasm. It's just a fun ship to play. But I do think, you know, either they could do with giving it a little bit of a speed bonus, maybe some more tanky stats. It just feels like it's outclassed in a lot of ways, and you need to invest more skills to really make it worth it as well. So yeah, that's everything that I have to say about the GILA today, and I will see you next time.